to find the deeper conviction of the heart, to find the purpose of your inner heart's being. The beingness inside your own heart has a deep purpose, which is not your purpose, because you're living in the brain, you're living in the mind. But there's a being inside your own heart which has a purpose. And that purpose is the truth. To tell the truth, to see the truth, to be the truth. In the world that we're living in, it's not allowed to tell the truth. In many countries, the price for truth is death. If you tell the truth about the regime, behind the regime of the country that you're living in, they will kill you. If you tell the real truth about the regime, behind the regime in any kind of society, whether it's a family or a relationship or a marriage or whatever it is, you can get in big trouble. Our wonderful, glorious, magnificent, holy and sacred thirst and need for the truth is that which makes us noble. That's what gives dignity to the human heart. That's what makes us good human beings. But at the same time, to follow your heart's desire for truth can put you 6 feet under. They will kill you and put you deep in the ground, in the jungle. They will find a way to destroy you. Either they ostracize you from society, or they put you in prison. And I'm talking about toxic regimes that are the controlling mechanism behind the face of the regime, because there are always 2 kinds of regimes in a country. It is the regime itself, which you see on television and in the newspapers, and then there's the regime behind the regime. And the regime behind the regime is either toxic, malevolent, and crazy, and psychotic, and narcissistic, and self-protectionistic, or it is benevolent. In 95% of the cases, it is quite malevolent, and in 5% of the cases, it is benevolent. So in 5% of the cases, the regime behind the regime is a good regime. In 95% of the cases, the regime behind the regime is a toxic regime, which has only one desire, and that is to control. Because that's what people want. People want to control. That goes for individuals as well. We want to control. The reason why we want to control is because we're living inside our own brains. We live inside our own interpretation machine. We live inside our own interpretation machine, and we are produced by the human program. And the human program is that which makes it not possible for us to live outside of perception, you could say. I mean, we are living in perception. The reason why we're living in perception is simply because the way that the brain is wired. We are wired for perception. And we are wired for being on alert. We're wired for recognizing danger so that we can survive. I mean, it is a reptile kind of a world. We're living in a reptile kind of a world, We're trying to protect each other. No, I mean, we're trying to protect ourselves and, of course, each other as well, when we have a family or relationships that we need to protect. But the brain is looking out to protect itself, to survive, of course. And while we are doing this, we are living inside an interpretation machine that the brain needs to have, because without the interpretation machine, the brain cannot decide whether things are safe or not, So, well, this is just a digression, but a lot of my own work is about the human program, and I can explain everything about the human being. I can explain everything about the brain, so to speak. I can explain everything about the relationship between perception, interpretation machine, and projection machine, which means the human program. I can explain everything about that. But it's not that popular because people usually don't want to see themselves, because they don't want truth. Even though their inner heart's being is thirsty for truth, they want the truth. So it is a paradox. Many people want the truth. The only thing that they really truly want is the truth. And yet they are afraid of it, because we're living in two places at the same time. We're living in the inner heart's own beingness, and we are living inside our own brains. If we're living inside our own brains, we're afraid of that which may happen, and we're just trying to navigate and organize ourselves within the world. We're trying to survive. We're trying to survive in the game of social codes and of cultural codes. We're trying to survive in the game of life as it is played out in society, which is a network of social codes, you know. And we have another life, which is the inner heart's own beingness. And the beingness of the inner heart wants truth, because truth is God. Truth is being enough in being inside being itself. Truth is that beingness is enough in itself. Truth is that God is enough in itself, and that God is a part of our inner heart's life. Many of us would like to come out of the brain, because the brain cannot give us that which we want. Only the inner heart can give us the satisfaction of the inner heart self. The inner heart self is an emotional experience, so to speak, of that which we have inside our own heart. But anyway, this was just a taste of that which is important to expose, namely the fact that we have two different urges, two different desires. We have a brain which is all around the place, and we have an inner heart who knows exactly where it wants to go. It wants to go to truth, and it wants to go to beingness. It wants to go to the heart inner beingness. It wants to go to God. It wants to go home to that which is inside the inner heart itself. Thank you.